What's up, everybody? It's time for round number 3 of the store championship that I had the pleasure of judging, as well as providing this post-event commentary for. We've got on our left red, yellow Sabo, and on our right, good old Buggy. Both these players are currently 2-0 in the event. This Buggy player actually made it to the top 8 in another store championship the week prior, so looking for some good plays out of this guy. Definitely piloting this deck pretty well. The only Buggy in the event. Both events, so this is pretty awesome. So Red Yellow Sabo does end up, I believe, going second here. I think Red Yellow Sabo likes to go second, if I'm not mistaken. Now Red Yellow Sabo and Buggy, not two very popular decks in the meta. Now Buggy, now that he's gotten that shoe-licking Buggy promo, quite a bit better, especially against some of the aggro decks. Now that this format has kind of gone more aggro with the basic elimination of Luchi in the meta. So we're going to see an 8K go into lead from the Buggy player. Red Yellow Sabo just doing a little bit of searching, finding some rushers. Look like they picked up like an Ace and I believe something else. Those two searchers are for Ace, Luffy, and Sabo, so only applicable targets there. And passing back to Red Yellow Sabo's turn. So Red Yellow Sabo is an aggro deck that likes to manipulate life. So typically they're going to be playing out characters that can easily become 7K characters. That they can easily just stick back on life after they swing in, and then you hit your opponent, you give them a rusher back that they can swing at you and put on life the next turn. That's kind of rinse and repeat what the loop of Red Yellow Sabo is. Pretty interesting leader, but not sure how good it is in this meta, but clearly good enough to be 2-0 currently at a 32-man event. All right, we're gonna see a 5K go into lead here. Buggy might just take this one, but also might just give up a card. Buggy, very good at drawing cards, very good at seeing a lot of filtering, kind of looking for a lot of the pieces they need. And speaking of drawing cards, we can see Sanji's Pilaf off life, letting them draw 2 cards. I think there might have been a joke that happened earlier of like, if I get to hit the Pilaf off life, that's GG. And we're going to see a big old swing here. This is a 6K swing with Garp here, and just going to go ahead and counter out of that. And go back to Buggy's turn here. Buggy, as soon as he sees things like the shoe Buggy, this matchup might get a little bit easier. Being able to stop 3s and 4s from attacking, though it does look like most of the cards in Red Yellow Sabo's hand are of 5 cost. So that shoe Buggy might not be nearly as good. Gonna go to an activation of leader effect here. Gonna go ahead and pitch a card and then play a card of cross skill card for just 5 Dawn. Gonna play out the Crocodile. Crocodile is gonna play out another card. Whether it's a cross-skilled type or a Baroque Works type. Gonna put Mr. Daz Bones into play. Daz Bones has an on-play of draw 2, trash 1. Has another ability, but that's not relevant in Buggy. And Buggy just gonna go start filtering as much as possible. Also got 2 pretty big bodies on board. Crocodile just really good in that deck. Mihawk also really good. Just has some really solid mid-level cards, and then the 10-drop Buggy, if you can fill up your board big enough, is also a pretty good finisher. But this deck really falters against decks that are really good at removing it. So that's kind of why we didn't see Buggy for a while in OP09, is because Luchi was very good at the time. And just being able to deal with these bodies and kind of keep it under control is really good against Buggy. So we're going to see how Red Yellow Sabo is going to be able to handle this. We've got a good old Monkey D. Luffy going to swing out here. And this is going to be a 5-drop Luffy. This is the new Luffy from starter deck 22. This one has a nice little effect that attaches a Dawn to a leader or character when you attack a rested Dawn. We're gonna see activation of Nami, gonna put one on Sabo. Then we're gonna see a swing of Luffy, gonna attach one onto the Luffy here. Notably, Sabo's ability does need 1 Dawn attached at all times to be able to pull off its effect. So we're gonna see a 7K go into life here. Just gonna take that one. Looks like a potential trigger here. Could be. Looks like just going to stick that one back in hand. Not sure. It might have been one of the bottom decking triggers, but if it wasn't a 5 or less, likely just not going to be used here, as using that for a Nami maybe not as good. We're going to see another one go to lead, and an activation of leader effect. Going to buff up the Nami by 2K for the whole turn cycle, so that's part of Sabo's ability, is you put a 7K power or more character on life, and then you give another character on board 2K power for the entire turn cycle. So your turn, your opponent's turn. And just going to counter out of that as well. Notably, the Crocodile has 1K, which is pretty great for a body that just puts another body into play. And going back to Buggy's turn, Buggy going to be on 7 Dawn here. Could just play some things out here. We had a little cameo from one of the players' kids, and we're gonna go and send 7K at lead here, just to see what Sabo does. Sabo could give a easy 2K, 1K. It could also just take that since it's already the Luffy that he played on life. Would love to play that again. It's very good in this Sabo deck, just being able to attach that one Don to Sabo to immediately allow you to start doing its leader effect. But we're gonna see a pudding come down, so little caught the red yellow Sabo player just not prepared. I think that player had at least 8 to 9 cards in hand at this point, and especially taking that Luffy now just means that, hey, that Luffy is gone. Reshuffle, and you're gonna get yourself another fresh hand of 5 cards. Pudding, where's that card been? It's still a staple in Doflamingo, but with Doflamingo not seeing as much prevalence in the meta now after the bans, don't see a lot of people running it anymore. You don't have to really think about it too often. But Buggy, another one of those decks that runs it here. So we're gonna see a fresh hand of 5 come up for him. Doesn't look like he had the Luffy in hand. Does have a Rush Luffy though. Another variant of it that is unblockable. We're gonna see a 7K go into lead here, and that's a pretty big swing into a 5-card hand. And now we're gonna see another 7K go into lead, just going full aggression this turn. Just take a damage, reset the hand, go full aggression, just try to get a lot of cards out of hand. And yeah, we gave a 2K, 1K out of that. Don't really want to go to 1 life when we have so many big bodies on the field. Again, the tempo that Crocodile and 7K into a 6K for 5 Don is pretty insane for the Buggy deck. So we'll see here what Red Sabo ends up doing on this. Their 8 Don turn. Gonna go ahead and start by looking at the top 5 for a brother. So one of the whether it's Sabo, Luffy, or Ace. Likely in this matchup it's gonna be Luffy or Ace. We're gonna see a 5-drop Luffy. This is the one from the other starter deck, starter deck 1. Yeah, big jump. Starter deck 22 Luffy, starter deck 1 Luffy. This Luffy does get unblockable if you have 2 Dawn attached to it, so it could potentially come up later, as typically what Buggy likes to do is start to set up some Mihawk blockers, which is a 7K blocker. Looks like we got 7 Dawn to work with here. Could play the Luffy out, could attach 1 Dawn there, swing 7K, and then you still have 1 other Dawn left, plus a Nami activation to swing 7K with lead potentially, so you could do double 7K here, but instead gonna go for a more simpler 7K, which is the Porcusy Ace 7K. This one does have Rush if your leader has 2 or less life, so notably taking a few hits last turn has now enabled him to give Ace Rush, and likely we're gonna see just a 7K potentially go into lead here. Thinking about where he wants to send it, he's gonna send it to Daz Bones, just kind of 2K checking the Buggy deck. But one thing you got to know about Buggy is he's got 2Ks galore. With the amount of filtering he has, likely he's always gonna have a 2K in hand at some point. So maybe it would have been better to send that 7K at lead. But those 2 bodies on board are gonna be threats here. We're gonna see an 8K go into lead here, and yeah, just gonna go ahead and let it, or not into lead, but into the Daz Bones. Just gonna let that go. Don't really want to give 2 cards up for it. And then there was no activation of Sabo's effect. Notably, Sabo didn't really have a good character to target. You kind of want to have at least 2 big statted characters on board to really make Sabo's effect work. But yeah, Sabo's just gonna hang out at 2, though. Buggy doesn't really have a way to, could potentially just go for lethal here with only 3 cards in hand, but I did see some things like Bajan life potentially, right? I saw a Bajan hand getting countered with earlier, so it could be 1 in life. So definitely some yellow trigger nonsense. Another Bajan hand as well. So we clean up the Ace with a 9K swing. We're gonna swing 5. He counters out that beige, and then gonna swing another 5K with the pudding, specifically leaving up looks like 6 Dawn here. And we're gonna play out the Mihawk again, just like I mentioned earlier. Mihawk being one of the cornerstones of the mid to late game for Buggy, just being able to draw 2, trash 1, as well as having a 7K blocker. Incredibly strong card, very good for the Buggy deck for sure. We're gonna see a Shoe Buggy get pitched here. Not very good into this matchup. Opponents only showed us, or Red Yellow Sabo's only showed us 1 drops and 5 drops. So very unlikely that card's gonna get any usage here. And we're gonna go back to Red Yellow Sabo's turn. A lot of gas is kind of been expended at this point. They've already used a lot of their big attackers. The pudding kind of shuffled away a lot of them as well. I think what they have left is that Rush Luffy in hand, which they could use to get around the Mihawk, right? To swing maybe into a Crocodile. But for the red yellow Sabo's perspective, you really have to make a decision here whether you want to continue to go for board control or just start trying to go for face with 5 cards in Buggy's hand, 3 life. This is a hard uphill climb at this point. So we're going to see double activation of Nami putting 2 Dawn on Luffy. We're going to see an 8k go into lead here, just trying to avoid the Mihawk. Maybe going for this last ditch effort to just try to pressure as much as possible to try to just get past the Mihawk here and try to churn through as much life as we can. And we see an activation of Sabo putting the Luffy back on life. Looks like 2k is given to the Garp here. Could attach a bit of Dawn to the Garp just to be able to swing, but again, having a 7k is pretty brutal. But we're going to see another fun tech, and this is Kid Luffy into the Monkey D. Luffy on life. So yes, not just, the black yellow Luffys of last meta. After that deck kind of got nerfed, you can't, they're not the only ones that can put characters into playoff life. This deck can also take advantage of that because it has the choice of putting specific cards on top. So that Luffy buffing the leader up to 7k leader for the whole turn cycle. And we're going to see a swing into the pudding with the Garp. Pudding just takes a 1k here. I think Buggy realizing he needs to have characters on board here to try to deal with some of these, because if he doesn't see things, any of his like bounce removal or bottom deck removal, it's a bit hard for Buggy to be able to deal with board advantage potentially here. So I think we're looking at maybe an 8k swing. This 8k could go at lead, could go at the pudding. It depends what the Sabo wants to do. If you go at the pudding, you're likely, if he saved the pudding once, he's likely going to save it again. That's just a 2k check with the Mihawk. So wherever this goes, I think depending on how much Buggy wants to save something, you're likely going to get a 2k out of hand. Unless he doesn't have one. With only 2 cards in hand, it looks like he's going to just send it at the pudding. And I think Buggy decides not to give it up. May not even have a 2k in hand at this point with 5 cards in hand. I did see a red rock in the front. And we're going to be passing back to Buggy here. Red Yellow Sabo's in a really bad position right now. Ooh, did you hear that voice crack? I'm like almost 28. I still have voice cracks. This is crazy. I guess puberty never stops. We're going to see a 9k swing with Crocodile into lead here. Just going to take that one again. You can math that out pretty clearly. Only 2 cards in hand. The most you could get up to was 9k. So a 9k swing is pretty simple. And now I think you might as well just swing everything with the good old Mihawk, especially now that we're trigger free at this point. You might as well attach 8 Dawn to the Mihawk and make a big swing. But I think we're looking to split this instead. We're going to go 10k to lead here. I guess this is into 7k. Which I didn't even think about at the time. So that 9k into 7k just getting through, which would have also just taken 2 cards to get out as well. And he didn't have it. So Buggy able to clean it up here. Red Yellow Sabo a little bit of had a little bit of struggle in the middle of the game there. Not able to stick nearly as many threats as it likes to stick. It just kept putting the same threats that it played onto life. But Buggy able to hold that out and take out this specific matchup. Anyways, if you like this type of content, definitely subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.